Pastor Wanda, welcome. Briefly tell us who you are and your ministry.
Name is Wanda C. James. Uh, my ministry is Anointed to Pray Prayer Ministries. It was founded in 2009.
Okay, okay. What inspired you to write Baggage Unclaimed, Release Those Bags?
Um, the first book that I released, it was for my children, for them to understand the legacy. We always should leave a legacy for the future children that will come along so they will know um, history about where they came from, whether it's their mom, their dad, or whatever. So this book, after I finished the first book, the Lord had told me back in 2009 He wanted me to teach my people how to pray. And so it was a lot of different hindrances as far as leading the people to pray. And so that's a list in this book. We have a lot of lists, such as rejection, anger, bitterness, jealousy, strife, um, pride. You have disappointment, you have rejection, fear, all these different elements that you may experience that will hinder you from moving in the things that God has called you to do.
Okay, I like how you put that down. And as you can see, the name of that other book is Blindsided. Thank you, thank you. Okay, what does unclaimed baggage mean spiritually?
Well, as I said, it's different areas, just like it is in the natural, so it is in the spiritual. And a lot of times we carry baggage and we don't want to claim that we're stressed, we're angry, we're bitter, we felt rejected, we felt unloved. We don't want to acknowledge those things because life happens. Situation happens and we must learn how to deal with it. So, as it is in the natural, it goes over into the spiritual. That if you're dealing with anger, how are you going to be able to tell someone else that doesn't know Christ and you got all these anger issues that's happening? That person gonna say, well, why should I come to Christ? You angry. You still angry. I'm angry. What's the difference? What's my reason for coming to Christ? And this is so the body of Christ can be aware that you might have an issue, but you need to acknowledge that issue because we all have issues. Just like I uh, spoke on, the animals have issues. Dogs have issues. Mice have issues. Birds have issues. You got squirrels that have issues. So just like the animals have issues, we as human, we have issues because that's a part of life. And we learn from our experiences and from our issues. So that is why I wrote the book, um, Baggage Unclaimed.
Right. And you kind of answered the next question. What are the most common emotional burdens people carry today?
Anger, conflict. Um, People want power. They want to be acknowledged. Um, Sometimes people have been betrayed by a friend, maybe betrayed at a job that someone else that was not qualified got the position that you thought that you would get. So it's betrayal. You have anger. You have resentment. You also have jealousy. People are jealous if you're making something um, like what you're doing now. Of course, there's people that's going to be jealous of what you're doing because they are unable to do it or they just don't want to see you developing in what is, I believe, is God given. So that's just my belief. But you have the talent, and you can do it. And the more you do it, the better you become at it. And so my gift is not like your gift. So you're able to take a camera or take a phone, turn it into a camera, and do an interview. I am good at writing. I can write more than I can talk. And so everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses. And you just have to find out what your strength is and go forward.
I definitely agree. God gives everyone a talent. You just got to keep living till you find out what
Amen.
your talent is. I agree. Why is it so hard for people to let go of past hurt?
Because I believe, just as my book says, baggage unclaimed, they refuse to claim the things that they may be going through because it's painful. If you um, resented by someone that hurt you, you don't want to deal with that resentment. You want to put it to the back or put it to the past. I don't need to deal with that. I'm on a new path. But little do we know that whatever we left behind is going to follow us. You know, people may say, well, I want to move out of town because the town is this, that, and the other. But wherever you go, if you got issues, those issues going with you. It's not going to stay back in the town that you left. And if we just would be real with ourselves, okay, I got an issue with anger. I got an issue with resentment. I got some issues here. And sometimes we may not even know where it came from. Maybe it came from childhood. The father was not in the home, the mother was struggling trying to provide. Just different scenarios may have happened. And as we get older, we put it to the back. That's not important. Right now, I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to make it work. So I don't need to go back to the past. But in order for you to heal, you got to go back to the past because in this generation that we're in now, what happened back in the past is coming forth now in this generation. You can see it on the news. You can see it in the world system that things that happened in the past is trying to resurface up as if it never happened. So we have to I believe we have to deal with our past in order to see our future.
I like the way you broke that down. Okay, healing and freedom. How can someone begin releasing emotional and spiritual baggage?
They just have to acknowledge where they're at. If you be real with yourself and say, okay, I'm here. I know I have a problem with getting upset. Somebody's come out their mouth wrong. I'm ready to go bat to bat. You're not going to talk to me any kind of way. Deal with where you are, not where somebody else is. Deal with where you are. And it's vital important that you don't react, but you respond. React is if you're arguing with me, then I'm arguing back with you, and we're not getting nowhere. But if you're arguing with me, okay, he's upset. Why is he upset? So now I want to respond where it won't make you angry, but it'll have you to think, okay, why did I say that? Why am I angry? She's breaking it down that we should come together and reason. And a lot of times people don't want to, I want to be right. So I'm going to get my point across and I'm going to say it whether you like it or not. You can hear it or you don't hear it, but I'm going to and it's too much of me, myself, and I, and not about other people because other people got feelings, other people got desires, other people, have wants and stuff. But this world is just me, myself, and I. If you can't help me, then move along. So
Correct. And I agree. And I like the way you breaking it down. This is going to be a good book, y'all. What role does prayer and forgiveness play in healing?
Well, that's my area of prayer. And God had to deal with me about forgiveness because there was so much anger, so much bitterness, so much, and I don't want to call it hatred, but unforgiveness. Because when someone you love hurts you, damages your spirit, damage you and make you feel low, make you feel belittled, then what else can you do? If you don't have a relationship with God, then what else can I do? People say, I forgive you, but I'll never forget.
Mm.
You doing the same thing. You saying you forgive, but you'll never forget. So that means that anytime a disagreement or argument come up, then you're gonna bring that same unforgiveness back into that person's face, when you're talking, because you have not resolved and allow, okay, things happen. We all have did things that we need to be forgiven for, and sometimes it's just hard, and a lot of times it's pride. Our pride, that I'm not saying I'm sorry. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I didn't do nothing wrong. They did something wrong. So it still comes down to, it's all about me, what I want, what I desire. And the world does not revolve around anyone, any personal one. The Not the word, but the world says a man is not an island, which means a man can't live by himself. You need people. You need people to socialize. When during the COVID time, when we were stuck in the house, that became like dissociation. You didn't socialize with anyone but people that was in the house. For those like myself, I was by myself. So I didn't socialize with anyone, but I had to keep myself motivated. And motivation was getting on the uh, uh, the conference calls so I could interact with people. I wasn't there physically, but I could interact with them. And COVID made it so that people stop interacting. And when they stopped interacting and it was just them, it became, okay, it's my world. What you gonna do for me? But God didn't design us to be walking alone or be alone. What he did in the beginning, it is so now. He saw that Adam didn't have anyone and he put him to sleep and he took Eve out of his side. So it was man and woman, so they could communicate together. And it's vital that we be able to communicate with people because everybody got different personalities. Some will make you laugh, some they lie and they're lying. Some are con artists, some are just jokesters, some are real serious, and some is just like whatever, whatever. And so you learn those different personalities because you are human and you need to be able to know that there are different personalities, you know. So
I like the way you broke that down. I got a few more questions for you. What would you say to someone listening who feels stuck in pain right now?
if you're stuck in pain, that's my suggestion is that you pray. But if you don't have that relationship with God, if you don't have that intimacy with God, you got to be able to deal with where you're at. If you're hurting, you can't sulk in it and sit in it and think it's going to go away. You're going to need some help, whether it's going to a doctor, whether it's going to a social worker, a guidance person that can be able to dig in to where you're at. Because we know that social workers, guidance, people that deal with the mind, that They went to school for that. And so they will ask a lot of questions because they want to get to the core of the matter. Because most of the time we don't want to deal with the core of the matter because we are still in our feelings. We're always in our feelings, and that's why a lot of things, people are hurt because they still in their feelings. They don't know how to separate their feelings from their mind.
Okay, I like that. Okay, impact and closing. What do you hope readers receive from this book?
I really pray and hope that people will, as they read the book, whether they think it's for them or maybe for their sister, their mom, their cousin, that healing would take place. I tried to make the book as simple as I could for those that don't understand the different versions of the Bible. I have the King James Version and then I have the easy to read version so it can come down to the level of where a person is so they can understand exactly what it is, what they're dealing with, and how they can be healed. And what I did, and the Lord allowed me to do, is to the examples. This is nothing new. So God allowed me to give the examples in the book where people was doing stuff that we're doing now. They was doing stuff back then, and it was amazing as I began to write the book. I was like, all these stories, that I heard but didn't really dig into it. And I'm just like, that's what's happening in the world now. It's all about me, myself, and I. Where's the love? Where's the compassion? We got to have compassion in this day and time. And like I said, no man is an island. If you need help, ask for help. There's plenty of agencies and places that you can go, especially those that may be on the verge of suicide, may be feeling like they want to give up, they don't want to live. There's a hotline. I don't have that hotline, but there's help. If you want help, there is help, and they will help you. But you gotta want to be helped.
Okay, I like the advice and I like the way you broke that down for those who might be listening. Where can listeners get a copy?
They can go on Amazon and put in my name, Arthur Wanda C. James, and put in the title of this book, Baggage Unclaimed. It should come up. It's $15. I have some books that's available if you would like to order. If you don't want to go through Amazon, you can go through my son who is interviewing me. You can go through him. He can pick up the book and we can mail it to you. Or if you're in the city of Columbia, um, he can get it to you. And I have some other people that are out promoting my book. And so I really thank God for allowing my son to take the time out to promote me and my book. This is something that has always been in my heart. I always wanted to write. And God just opened up the door to begin with the legacy. And after the legacy, it was this book that came out of that. And so this is a great opportunity that I just thank God for it. Amen.
Um, and it's a pleasure doing this interview with you also. Okay, please share one final word of encouragement for our listeners.
The encouragement is if you need help, help is out there. Whether it's in a book, whether it's with a person, whether it is with yourself, you can find the help that you need if you want to be helped. But the most important thing, acknowledge where you are. If you angry, acknowledge it. Because once you acknowledge it, then you can deal with it. But long as you keep it under cover, under the rug, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Something wrong with them. We got to take responsibility for our actions, for what we do. People are dying Today, they're living today, but they're dying today. Somebody's angry, somebody's bitter, somebody's whatever, and they're taking lives. It's like lives don't mean anything to certain people. And little do we know they have some type of issue that they have not dealt with and refuse to deal with it. So my advice is if you're going through, acknowledge that you're going through so some healing can begin. And once you heal, then you can move on to bigger and better things.
Okay, Pastor Arthur Wanda C. James, congratulations on your second book, and it was a pleasure doing an interview with you promoting your new book. Thank you for your time.